Lord, everyone. Thank the Lord for being here just another day. And if I may, I need to come up to the cross tonight. Truly, I heard a message on last night. It struck my heart by it. And I know the Lord was talking to me on last night.
Praise
I have a story to tell.
Yes.
It's one of those testimonies that you hate to tell, but you hate to tell, but it's a painful, joyous testimony. I thank the Lord because on September 28th, I received a phone call at 3 in the morning where my daughters were in a car accident. And I'm not going to go into the full details because we'll be here until next week, this time if I tell it. But I thank the Lord because one of my daughters was hurt so bad in the car accident that every single bone in her face was broken. Every single bone in her face was broken. Her nose was shifted out of place. Her eye sockets were completely broken. Her chin was completely shattered. Hallelujah.
Oh my God.
Her mouth was completely dislocated from her face. Hallelujah. But we serve a God.
All right.
Even on the night of the accident, when we went to the emergency room, they tried to discharge her. They said that she had a small fracture over her eye and she had a cut under her chin. They even went so far as to stitch her chin and tried to send her home. And my daughter kept saying, she's a supervisor in that very emergency room. And she kept saying, Mom, don't let them send me home. Something's wrong. My ribs are broke. She said, I have broken teeth. I can feel teeth all over my mouth. To make a long story short, they tried to send her home. They even went so far to say, if we admit her, you're going to have to pay the bill because there's nothing wrong with your daughter. The whole time she was there, they gave her morphine. After laying in the emergency room from 3:30 in the morning till 8 that night, they decided to admit her. And that was on a Friday night. And on Tuesday, a doctor walked into her room. Every day they kept saying, we're going to discharge you. We're going to discharge you. And she kept saying, please don't let them discharge me. A surgeon walked into the room on Tuesday. He said, we're taking your daughter up for surgery on tomorrow. And I said, why? He said, because her jawbones are completely shattered and we need to align them. The next day, they were taken up for surgery. Before they could even do the surgery, he came back in. He said, I have something else to tell you. He said, there are so many broken bones in her face that if we put a tube up her nose for her to breathe while we're doing the surgery, we'll be pushing bones into her brain. So we have to do a trach on your daughter. Now this is my 28-year-old daughter.
Yes.
During the accident, she had fallen asleep and hit a parked car. And then she proceeded to hit a pole. The parked car saved her life. My other daughter was in the back seat. They had just dropped somebody off and she didn't want to get into the front seat. That's what saved her life. But that part of the car was so mangled up against the pole, you couldn't even tell it was a car. But by her being behind my daughter in the driver's seat, the impact was so hard, she fell into my daughter driving. The airbag hit her in the face, and my daughter hit her seat from the back so hard, it completely lifted her seat up. Hallelujah. So she got it from the front and the back.
Yes.
And to make a long story short, even for 3.5 weeks, she lay in the hospital. They had to wire her mouth completely shut. After the surgery, she had the trach in her throat for her to breathe. She couldn't breathe through her nose because they had to stitch it. They had to shift it back in place. The first week after the surgery, she couldn't open her eyes because to do the surgery, they had to cut underneath both eyes to do the surgery. And every week when we go back to the surgeon, we find out something different. About 2 weeks ago, he removed the wires. 2 weeks ago, from September, she was able to say her first words. And even then, her lips were so swollen, and we didn't know why. The wires from where they had wired shut, And it was so bad, they said that her skin had started to form over the wires, and she had developed an infection while she was laying in the hospital. But you know, I still serve a God.
Yes, yes.
Hallelujah. Oh, yes.
And he went back on this week, and after they took the wires off, he said, I can't close it. They were to close down on her mouth. And she kept saying, I can't. And he looked farther, and her teeth were all broken up. And he said, you know what? When we opened her chin up, because they had to cut under her neck and open up her chin, he said there were so many broken bones under there. There were foreign particles. We didn't know what it was. He said her teeth from her back were in her chin. Hallelujah. Oh, but God is good. I thank the Lord because on last night, my daughter walked in here with me.
Praise Him.
Praise Him.
Yes, let's give the Lord that praise. Hallelujah. Sister Chevelle, what is your name? Yes, Pastor Gibbs' daughter, Joelle. Chevelle, bless you. How old is your daughter? You said 28 years old. Sister David, what's her name? Lakeisha. Turn around and look at the sisters and brothers. How many believe prayer makes a difference? Yes. Hallelujah. Pastor Gibbs, come up here, sir. He called me last week, and he apprised me of the situation. Hallelujah. And I got on my knees in my study after Pastor Gibbs called me. I want you, Pastor Gibbs, to put your arm around your door. Touch somebody. We're going to pray. Hallelujah. We're going to pray. Let's look to the Lord. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Bless her, Jesus. Bless her right now. You said you hear our prayer. You said you answer our prayer. Have mercy, Lord. Direct the hands of her caretaker. Direct her, Lord. Keep and sustain her. We plead the blood against